You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Sir, we love you. Trump goes off script with meandering self-praise at NATO conference, based on an article by Tom Bogany. The con is the message, a president talking to himself. Trump's account of the NATO conference in Turkey is less a report than a performance of domination. The source text says diplomats and world leaders were alarmed by his threats, while Trump turned around and sold the meeting as a scene of admiration. That gap is the story, not misunderstanding, but propaganda. Who actually has power? The institutional power here belongs to the President of the United States, backed by the Secretary of State standing just behind him and a foreign policy apparatus forced to absorb the damage. Trump is not a confused bystander in the room. He is the person setting the terms, creating the crisis, and then trying to narrate it as proof of his own brilliance. The blame shift is the point. Trump's comments do the usual authoritarian trick. Turn global alarm into validation. They laughed at us becomes they love me. Threats become respect. Isolation becomes unity. He even performs self-awareness long enough to claim humility, then immediately returns to the same narcissistic fantasy. The function is clear. If he can make coercion sound like apparition, he can bury accountability under a pile of self-congratulation. Misdirection as governance. The most revealing line is not the boast, but the insecurity underneath it. He says maybe they're trying to get to me, which is the logic of a strongman who cannot separate diplomacy from flattery and statecraft from personal tribute. That is not incidental rhetoric. It is how weak institutions get converted into a stage for one man's vanity. Everyone else in the room becomes scenery in his script. Rubio and the court politics of deference. Marco Rubio's presence matters here too. Standing over Trump's shoulder, he is part of the machinery that normalizes this behavior by treating it as routine presidential theater. The source does not show resistance, only managed proximity. That is what institutional cowardice looks like in practice. Not endorsement with a speech, but complicity with a posture. The larger pattern. This is the governing style of authoritarian politics in miniature. Manufacture conflict, deny the conflict, claim applause, and demand that the country mistake humiliation for strength. Trump is not being misunderstood by elites. He is exploiting their habit of translating danger into etiquette. The result is a politics where the most powerful man in the room can say anything, and the machinery around him works to make it sound like leadership. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Raw Story for today's article, with the automated voice of Lesak. Thanks for listening.